Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I went to a film premiere about 2 years ago that blew me away. It was one of the most fascinating films that I've ever seen. And the director is going to be on our show tonight. And he's actually now the, I guess, executive producer of a film festival, the Mosaic International South Asian Film Festival, or MISAFF for short. And I'll ask you about the film that I'm talking about later on in our interview, if I could. But I just thought that the film, the content, the point of view that you were trying to make was compelling. And I have to tell you, and I think I told you this later on, I actually may have told your sister later on, that I ended up going to the film with someone that was South Asian that grew up in a household that had some issues. And we went out for a meal afterwards. And she broke down crying and told me her story, and she felt that compelled to do so because of the movie and the story that you had told about your own situation. And she said she hadn't told a soul previously, and she broke down and told me, and it was your movie that moved her to do so. So Arshad Khan, thank you so much for that. And the movie was called...
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is very moving. My film is called Abu, which means father. And it is a story, it's a very personal feature documentary film about my life, my very difficult, contentious relationship with my very devout Pakistani Muslim father as a gay son. And I'm using family archives from VHS and video and all kinds of media archives from the 1980s all the way up to his death in 2011, and telling a story of spirituality, sexuality, and mortality. And the film has won 17 awards, and it has been to over 70 international film festivals. The film is available on the doc channel, on the CBC doc channel. It was recently on Mubi, the platform Mubi India. And now I actually wanted to tell you that I have been the festival director for the Mosaic International South Asian Film Festival, MISAFF, for 8 years. This is our 8th edition, which due to COVID-19 has gone online. And I think, Brian, you came to some of our film screenings. We have films for everyone, and we take place in Mississauga, usually in August, just the weekend before the Mosaic South Asian Festival of Heritage, which is an art and music outdoor festival that takes place at Celebration Square. But MISAFF is the only film festival in Mississauga, and we have films from all over the world, but also from Canada, because there are so many interesting and very intriguing films being made about South Asians and also by South Asians. And South Asia includes India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Iran, Afghanistan. And, and also we show films from the diaspora, like the UK, US, the Caribbean, wherever South Asians may exist.
Excellent. And this film festival is on this month, I understand.
It is. We had to go online due to COVID-19. So we were very lucky. It's taking place from the 4th to the 12th of December, entirely online on the TIFF Digital Bell Light Box platform. To get tickets, you can go to misaff.com, which is MISAFF.com. And one of the great aspects of MISAFF, besides showcasing a lot of great Canadian films, is that we also every year pick a Canadian talent, an actor or actress, to be our MISAFF star. This year, that person is actress Megha Sandhu, who is from Montreal and speaks Hindi, Punjabi, Urdu, French, and English, and has joined us today. So thank you.
Welcome, Megan. How are you? Megha.
Thank you so much. I'm good. How are you?
Very well. So, Megha, tell us about the film that you're in that is part of the festival, and tell us a little bit about your history, if you could.
Absolutely. So, my film is actually not a part of the festival this year. Hopefully soon, fingers crossed. Maybe in the years to come. Just waiting for it to be released. I started acting in my teens. That's sort of when I fell in love with it. I was in high school, and I joined my theater troupe, and I knew then that this was something that I was really passionate about. But I never took it seriously as a career. I come from a South Asian background. The arts aren't always necessarily, believed in and pushed forward my mother's a doctor, my dad's an engineer. So obviously I had, quite the influence to pursue the sciences. As the years went on, I was pursuing like my pre-medical prerequisites, and something was lacking for me. I wasn't happy. I actually wanted to drop out of university 3/4 in. So I sort of made like a pact with my parents, decided, okay, you know what, I'll finish my degree, provided I can pursue a minor in theater. So they were like, okay, fine, go ahead and do it. And so I did. I finished it. I gave them the degree, and I was so happy that I pursued the minor in theater, because that's really what I'm passionate about, and makes me happy. So ever since then, I booked a leading role in a feature film. It's a horror comedy called Arranged Marriage, and I'm now pursuing a full-time
horror comedy, Arranged Marriage. That sounds
That sounds like real arranged marriage.
Yeah. No, it was loads of fun. And I think what's most important to me is, veering away from stereotypes. I think South Asian representation is so important. I think all representation is important, but being a South Asian, I can definitely attest to that. And I'm just so happy to have been chosen as this year's MISAFF 20 star. What a year it's been. And I think stories now more than ever have been so important for us to watch and to be able to connect to other humans with.
We're chatting tonight with Arshad Khan and Megha Sandhu about the Mississauga International South Asian Film Festival that's taking place in December. We're going to take a break for some messages and come back more with both Arshad and Megha in just a minute. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour, Saga 960. We're chatting tonight with Arshad Khan, who is the executive producer of the Mosaic International South Asian Film Festival. Being from Mississauga, I incorrectly thought that the first name must have been Mississauga, but it wasn't. It was Mosaic, so I apologize for that mistake. And Megha Sandhu, who is the MISAFF. Is that correct? The MISAFF star, who helps Arshad in promoting MISAFF and is going to be starring in a film that she hopes to film to have at the film fest in the future. That sounds really interesting. I want to hear more about it, called Arranged Marriage, which is a horror comedy, which sounds really quite interesting. Arshad, maybe could you tell us about some of the films that if we're interested, we might be fascinated to watch?
This year, because of COVID, we had to go online, as I mentioned. But, silver lining about that is the access that we had to a lot of our filmmakers. For example, we had an opening night virtual red carpet gala with the cast of Funny Boy, the Deepa Mehta film. And we supported the online screening of Deepa Mehta, the world broadcast premiere on CBC television. So you can watch that online as well, the Q&A with the cast, very moving and very emotional Q&A with a lot of the messages from our supporters as well. And then we have a Telefilm Canada masterclass, MISAFF masterclass with Deepa Mehta as well, which is also available on our online platform, where the director talks about her journey as a filmmaker from, when she was a young person in India, and how she got into the business and how she came to Canada and how she made it in Canada, and her journey up to now that, Funny Boy is Canada's nomination for the Oscars, which is so exciting for any filmmaker. Then we have a slew of great Canadian films, including the Afghan-Canadian film, The Forbidden Reel, about the plight of Afghan cinema. That's a documentary feature that recently won an award at the RRDM Documentary Film Festival in Montreal. Then we have another great feature film co-presented by the Festival du Nouveau Cinema, and it's called Sin La Habana, which means without Havana, which is Kaveh Nabatian's film. It also won an award at FNC, and we are showing that at MISAFF. Then another film that the FNC is co-presenting is called Ghost of the Golden Grooves, which is a Bengali Indian film. Absolutely very, very fascinating film by these two young directors, Aniket Datta and Roshni Sen. And it's a really remarkable and unusual ghost story, which will really fascinate you and referential to old Hindi cinema, Bengali cinema, as well as to our current farmers' protests in India and the time of COVID. And then we have our closing film is Zindagi Tamasha, Circus of Life, which is a controversial Pakistani film because the film challenges the kind of religious fanaticism that is happening in Pakistan. And the film is all, incidentally, Pakistan's entry for Oscar consideration. And it's absolutely beautiful and moving beyond belief. Other documentaries we have are Shut Up Sona, which was at Hot Docs this year by Deepti Gupta. And we have Sami Khan's film, The Last Out, which actually is a film about the sports, these Cubans who are trying to get into baseball in the USA, but it tracks the trajectory of people from the global South trying to make it in the sports business in America. It's very, very revealing. The other films we have are Parallel Lines. We had a world premiere of the film Parallel Lines, which is a edge of your seat suspense thriller. I highly recommend it. It's a Tamil language film from India and directed by Kiran R. The other world premiere we have is Ketu, which is another Bengali gem. It's quite an experimental film about isolation and about he made this film so quickly. He's a writer, director, producer, this guy named Amartya Bhattacharya, and it's such an intriguing film. You watch it and you're like, oh my God, you haven't seen anything like it. It's really part of the new cinema that we kind of like try to promote at MISAFF, and these new voices we also try to bring to MISAFF.
Sounds like an incredible lineup of films that you've got. What language are they in?
So Ketu is Bengali, Parallel Lines is in Tamil, Sin La Habana is in Spanish, French, and English. They're in many langulanguages. In Hindi,
many different languages.
Zindagi Tamasha is in Hindi and Punjabi, Urdu and Punjabi, sorry. And then we also have many films in Hindi, Punjabi, Urdu, different South Asian languages, and Canadian languages as well.
Do any of them have subtitles, or are they all just in whatever the native language was?
No. All the films have subtitles. Obviously, for Canada, we have to have subtitles for all the films, and they're being presented on the TIFF digital platform, as I said, and they're really, really, really well done films. And I was telling you that we have an Afghan-American filmmaker who has a film called I Am You, which is a fictional film as well. And that's really, people are really enjoying that one on our platform as well, because, it's nice to have voice, really kind of unusual, unique voices of female Afghan filmmakers, female Indian, Pakistani filmmakers, and so on. And we also have an incredible shorts program. Megha actually did a Q&A for one of our shorts program, and she can tell you about some of the short films that we have at MISAFF this year.
Okay, well, why don't we wait for that for a second, if you could. Let's come back to that. Arshad, maybe just if I could ask you a couple of questions. This Canadian Academy Award submission is about what? What's the film about?
Funny Boy is based on Shyam Salvadorai's award-winning novel, which is actually part of the Canadian high school curriculum. It is about a Tamil boy's story, a gay boy's story of struggling with his sexuality in 80s Sri Lanka, where there's a lot of tension between the Tamil and the Sinhalese, and the Sinhalese are actually have been involved in a genocide against the Tamils, and a lot of the Tamils had to flee Sri Lanka, and many of them actually even came to Canada. So, it's a very moving novel, which is a beloved novel world over for many people. And so Sam Salvadorai and Deepa Mehta co-wrote the film and made this beautiful feature film. And it has been selected by, Canadians to represent the international film at the.
Who does the selection for Canada?
The selection committee has many people from all the different provinces of the country, and from Telefilm Canada, from Ontario Arts Council, from SODEC, from Canada Council. I'm not sure exactly. There's a whole list of people from Ontario Creates. Lots of funding bodies come together, and it's a very, very involved process making these decisions about the international representation for Canada.
I can imagine it is. And then you said that the Oscar nominee from Pakistan was about religious extremism in Pakistan, which surprised me that something that sounds like it might be critical of the country would be picked as the Oscar nominee potential. Tell me what that film's about, if you could.
Zindagi Tamasha, Circus of Life is a very simple, beautiful film about a man who absolutely loves the Prophet Muhammad, and he's a singer. That's what he loves. That's his pastime. That's his passion. But he's actually a real estate agent, and he's a very humble person who sells rentals. Who doesn't sell, but rents out these apartments. And he has a very sick wife, and he has two daughters, one of whom lives in the Middle East, and the other one lives in Lahore, where the story is based in a very dense part of Lahore. And what happens is that one day he just goes to a friend's house to meet for a wedding, and after the wedding, old friends get together. This man is in his 60s, and he decides, that the friends egg him on, so he decides to do a little dance. And the other thing he's obsessed with is old Pakistani and Indian films and cinema on these little discs and videos that he watches. So he does a little dance, and someone records him dancing, and that video goes viral. And then that starts a downward spiral and downward trajectory of his life. And it's so intense, and it is so beautiful. The film is not anti-state. It is not anti-religion in any way, shape, or form. The film is only critiquing the kind of religious people who try to manipulate religion and try to abuse their status and try to suppress or oppress or harass citizens. So the film was cleared by the censors on every level, from the provincial, the local, and the federal censor boards cleared the film. It has nothing controversial in it. It is the religious right, kind of very fanatic. Some members who started these death threats against the director and the film's actors, but really there was really no reason for the film to have this terrible kind of stigma attached to it. As people, when they watch the film, they will realize this is an important voice coming out of Pakistan. The director is Sarmad Khusat, who is a very famed Pakistani filmmaker.
And then let me ask you one other question about one last film, if I could. You mentioned that there was a film about the farm workers' protests in India, which is very topical. We hear it just in the press right now. Tell us about that film, if you could.
Film is called Ghost of the Golden Grooves. It is a horror comedy, kind of. It's a bit experimental in that way, but it is a film that is talking about issues that have existed for many, many, many years. It's a film that discusses globalization, discusses poverty, discusses issues of the farmers in a very comedic and very unusual way, in a very creative way. So I really recommend people to watch that film. It just so happens that this film was made 2 years ago, probably, and what's happening today in the world is so relevant for this film. So that's why I want people, it will resonate with audiences when they watch it today. It's just a very interesting thing that this happened with this film.
Arshad, why is it important to have a South Asian film festival?
Well, it's important to have film festivals, period, and I think that the reason why Anya McKenzie, my former festival co-director and now festival advisor, and I started MISAFF is we approached the Canadian Community Arts Initiative, Asma Mahmood, Arshad Mahmood, and we said, we need to there's so many great films coming out of South Asia, but they're never making it out to the suburbs, never making it out to Mississauga or anywhere outside of Toronto or the downtown core, or if they get there, and a lot of them don't even get representation. So we thought, we have such huge communities, and they are kind of being ruined by Bollywood and Hollywood and the stuff they keep hashing out. So we said we need a place for showcasing on the silver screen these great gems, because these are independent films, these are marginalized voices, a lot of them, about very important issues that we think people are interested in, and they're entertaining and they're well told stories. They're just not the regular, song and dance. So we realized that this is really a need for this voice to be represented. And we were right, because the festival, really took off, actually. I mean, I have my own personal film practice, and I'm so busy, and so is Anya. She's working the CBC, and so we are so busy. But the festival has grown so much that it's like even hard to handle, because a lot of us are obviously volunteers. But there is a huge need for independent cinematic voices out there, because Indian South Asian cinema is more than 100 years old. But a lot of the films that are out there do not represent that finesse and that suave, creative element, and that diversity of voices. So we needed a South Asian Film Festival.
Arshad Khan, Executive Director of the Mosaic International South Asian Film Festival. Thank you for that description of all of the films that you're going to be showcasing at your film festival. We're going to take a break for some messages and come back, and I'm going to ask Megha Sandhu about some of the short films that are going to be showcased at the film festival just in a minute. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. One of the festivals that I enjoy every year in Mississauga more than anything else is the Mosaic International International Festival. What's the actual name, Arshad? Mosaic. It's the Canadian Community Arts Initiative and the Mosaic Festival.
It's just the Mosaic Festival of Heritage, Just the Mosaic Festival, really.
And it takes place.
It's a multidisciplinary festival. It has a outdoor component which takes place at Celebration Square with very marvelous music and dance, and we have like up to 70,000 people visiting. And then it has a visual art component, it has a dance component, it has a poetry, literature component, and then it has the film festival component, which is MISAFF.
Your sister, Asma Mahmood, has been on my show telling us about the festival in the past, and I had to remind her that she invited me up on stage once to dance with one of the final dance troupes that was just spectacular, that closed, I think, the festival.
Shamak Bavar's dance group, yeah.
Oh, it was incredible on several occasions. I enjoyed it immensely. And then I guess at some point in time, 8 years ago, you launched the Mosaic International South Asian Film Festival to go along with the Mosaic Festival, and it's been a big success ever since. So congratulations for that. Megha Sandhu, you're the star that's been picked by MISFA to MISAFF, I apologize, MISAFF, to help promote these films, and you're going to tell me about some of the short films.
Yeah, absolutely. So I recently had the honor of holding a Q&A with the filmmakers for Shorts 3, which is called Her Story to Tell. It's all about female leading roles, and these stories were led by female protagonists. So a few of them were, for instance, Be Selvi and Daughters, which is this beautiful Tamil film, if I'm not mistaken. It's Tamil, right, Arshad? Yes. And this was a beautiful story about a mom entrepreneur who's recently lost her husband, and who decides to, she builds up the confidence through her daughter to continue on with her business despite her husband not being there. And that it really reminded me a lot of my relationship with my mother. Then there was Bibi, which was directed by Rehan Mudanayaki, who also starred in Funny Boys. And so this was his directing debut. I believe he did the film when he was in college in London. It's a beautiful story about these two sisters who meet after many years and share a secret with one another. I mean, there's just so many different films. And yeah, for me particularly, it was inspiring to watch female leads and have stories be told from their perspectives. Yeah.
Why is there this short documentary film genre? Do people ever, people, you go to some documentary film festivals and watch them, but they're not shown in cinemas. When do people ever watch them?
I think short stories are great. Go ahead, Arshad.
No.
I was just saying, I think they're a great way to, get things started when often as a filmmaker, I would assume when you have, a great idea, it's often hard to sort of go through and get everything, sorted out immediately. So shorts, I think, are a great way to tell a story. They're still very much a beginning, middle, and an end. And I think they still have the same effect as full-length feature films.
Any animated films?
Yes, we have actually a film that's half animation and half live action. It's a documentary film called Grace about a transgender woman and her struggle. And the thing is, the thing about short films, you see, is that a lot of filmmakers, especially if there are emerging filmmakers, they often like to be able to tell the story in a more concise way to make, to get into festivals and to get some, get their name known, or to try and, learn the ropes through creating a short form format. Now, there are lots of places for short films. There are special short film festivals. There are many places where short films will play before a feature. And there's also the CBC Short Film Face-Off in Canada, where you can send your short film for consideration and for judging for Canadians, across the country. And so short film is becoming more and more popular. Often they were previously called like calling card films for somebody who wants to make a short and then in anticipation of creating a feature, creates a little short and says like, look, if this does well, and if you like this, I want to expand this story. So it's just a way of using your resources often, with friends and family, pool in whatever you have to try and, because, filmmaking is a very expensive business. So you try to pool in your resources and tell a story concisely without a lot of money, and still get your point across and showcase your talent.
Megha, you had mentioned that one of the shorts has a female lead, and you said that you really quite enjoyed that it was that it had a female lead. Why? Is there sexism in filmmaking, and there aren't as many female leads as male leads?
For sure. I think sexism exists everywhere. But if we're looking at it from a South Asian standpoint, I think there are definitely, stereotypes from time to time, and even in filmmaking, in any industry, really. So I think it's really inspiring to watch, female representation on screen, because you can relate to it as a woman. It inspires you, and that's why I think it's so important.
Have you watched
the films? Sorry, I'm just interrupting, but the thing is that storytelling is storytelling, and the reason we created a special program for her story to tell is because, these films have very strong female protagonists, and they're very relatable, and they're really quite excellent. And we just thought it would be nice to put them kind of together, group them together. And we had the Q&A on December 6th, which is the International Violence Against Canadian International Day of action in support of violence against women. So so that was a special day to showcase that. And as Megha was saying, it's not that there is sexism. That kind of is like a universal truth. Of course there is. It's just that it's nice that women are now getting to tell their own stories. They're telling more and more stories. 7 out of the 15 films at MISAFF are directed by women. And it's really important to highlight these voices, because historically it has been a male-dominated profession.
Megha, tell us a little bit about your career, if you could. What films have you done? Are you planning to do, etc.?
Yeah, so I've mainly done like theater and local, comedy troupes. And my first feature is an indie project. And it's, as I mentioned earlier, it's like a horror comedy thriller. It's quite experimental. And it was a great experience. And that's pretty much where I'm at right now. I'm pretty fresh in the film and TV world. So we'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed, things work out. And
tell us a little bit more about this horror comedy arranged marriage.
I don't actually know how much I can say because it's not actually out yet. But
is it a South Asian movie given the arranged marriage, or is it not?
Yeah, it's a South Asian film. It was written and directed by Anup Ranji, who is a South Asian filmmaker. and it's got, a lot of twists and turns, and it was it's entertaining. I'm excited to see when it comes out.
Excellent. Arshad, COVID-19 has impacted everyone fairly dramatically. Closed cinemas across the world, or at least limited them in attendance. How's it impacted festivals?
COVID-19 has affected everybody, and a lot of people have decided to go online, a lot of film festivals. And it has, the silver lining is that, of course, it has given us access to all these great filmmakers and actors who would necessarily, you'd not be able to see them and enjoy the Q&A after you, for example, watch a film. But now you can watch a film and you can watch a Q&A with the whole cast, or as many people from the cast as possible. For parallel lines, we had the production designer and the cinematographer come and speak with us, and they were really enlightening talks. You can find all those on the Facebook, MISAFF Facebook group. You can find the Q&A with filmmakers and their teams. And so, filmmakers can learn so much from that, and also film lovers, film enthusiasts can learn so much from that. But of course, people are getting, kind of Zoom fatigue, what they're calling, and a lot of people are festivals are struggling, because our festival, for example, is meant to be for, we have a opening night film, we have an opening night red carpet gala with stars and people being able to meet with the stars and the filmmakers, and then we have a big party, and we have lots of pomp and show, and we have 4 days of beautiful films usually, and people come and interact with each other, with filmmakers, and enjoy the food and enjoy the movies, and films are in theaters. So now that we're going online, a lot of people are not really used to watching stuff online. They will stream, things on OTT platforms, but are they going to come online? It's more complicated. So it is a struggle for film festivals. I think all the film festivals that are going online are having, it's a big learning curve for the film festival and for the festival goers. So we're quite lucky that a lot of people are enjoying our films. A lot of the people from the GTA, especially Mississauga, have been writing to us, telling us how much they're enjoying watching the different films and how happy they are that, all the films are available on demand for streaming all the way from the 4th to the 12th of December. So they can just put them on anytime they like. Each film is only $5. The masterclass is only $5 plus tax and fees. So these are very accessible for them, people are telling us how much they're enjoying it. So, COVID has affected us, but we're trying to make the most of it with our wonderful, wonderful festival goers, our sponsors, and our filmmakers.
Excellent. You mentioned a lot of the galas and the festival type activities around the festival. For me, there's something about, particularly with the premiere of a movie that hasn't got a lot of advertising or press or whatnot yet. And so either it's being premiered or it's close to being premiered. I like the collective gasp in the audience, the cheers afterwards, the laughs that you hear that rolls out from everyone around you rather than just that's canned from the screen. And then the conversations afterwards that you have. And so I think that there is something special about watching good cinema, particularly early in its life, in an audience, isn't there? Don't you agree?
Oh my God, of course. The magic of having an audience, those wonderful long lineups, filmmakers love them, film festivals love them, audiences love the excitement of, queuing up and then going in with your popcorn and your drink and watching, feeling those feelings as, collectively, with all the audience members laughing at the right, at the place, at different places, crying at different places, and just this, pathos that is created, that this kind of, feeling of being, in a cinema, that beautiful feeling, nothing can replace that beautiful feeling. And we really hope that once this COVID, is over, that we will return to the cinemas and the glory and glamour and the wonderful feeling of collective enjoyment can come back.
Well, I'm looking forward to both the festival coming back to being in Mississauga and in the cinemas, but also I'm looking forward to checking you out online. So remind us the websites that people go to check you out.
It's www.misaff.com, misaff.com. You can also go to digital.tiff.net, and then you can also find the Mosaic International South Asian Film Festival on that website.
Arshad Khan, the what is it? Executive director of
Festival director.
Festival director of the not the Mississauga, the Mosaic International South Asian Film Festival. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and telling us about.
Thank you for having me.
Some of the films. And Megha Sandhu, I apologize if I asked you too much about this horror comedy film, but it sounds intriguing. And when you're allowed to tell us more and give us a little snippet of arranged marriage, and what's your part? I got to ask you, what's your part? Are you the bride?
Well, I play Kamali. She's the lead actress in it. She's an American Indian female. She's she's actually she is the bride.
I'm looking forward to hearing more about that when it's time. Give me a call and we'll do a little show on that too. Arshad, absolutely. Megha, thank you so much. And everyone, I got to tell you that I have been to a couple of the Mosaic film festivals in the past, and the one film that, as I mentioned, blew me away was Arshad's own film, Udu. What was it called again?
My film is Abu, and actually my film did not play at the festival.
Oh.
You saw my film at the Cineplex.
I did. I thought it was at the festival. Anyway, the film that should have been at the festival, because it was absolutely special, Abdu, was unbelievable. It used a lot of Arshad's original films that he took when he was a kid, or the families took when they were a kid, and showed the whole evolution of his life with his family and with his father. And it was extremely compelling. And if you get a chance to watch it or any of the films at the Mosaic International South Asian Film Festival, please do so. Thanks, both of you, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.